Have you ever poured your absolute heart into something, only to watch someone else receive all the credit? Maybe it was your boss, maybe it was a colleague, or maybe it happened during a group project. You put in the late nights, the endless research. You did the work.
They received the recognition. Now, most people just call it unfair, and, well, it is. But psychology suggests something even more unsettling. See, human beings don't always reward contribution. They reward what they remember.
In his famous book, The 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene actually called this Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. But here's the thing, we are not looking at this today as a strategy to endorse. We're looking at it as a mystery. Why do human beings so naturally associate success with one visible person, while completely overlooking everyone else who made it possible?
Why do some people receive recognition, even when others contributed just as much? It's not just about toxic office politics. It's about a fundamental glitch in how our minds process reality.
The answer begins with something called visibility bias. It's incredibly simple, but absolutely ruthless. People simply cannot reward effort they never see. Our brains are processing millions of pieces of information every second. To keep from overloading, we rely on mental shortcuts. We remember the person presenting the final project or the name right at the top of the email chain. We don't register the silent, invisible hours of labor that happen behind closed doors. If they don't physically see it, to the human brain, it basically never happened.
But this leads us to a deeper, more troubling question. If visibility shapes recognition, why do we mistake visibility for competence? Being seen just means you're present. It doesn't actually mean you're good at what you do. So why does our brain make that massive leap?
This happens because of two fascinating psychological glitches, the halo effect and authority bias. Subconsciously, we assume that the most recognized or authoritative figure is inherently the most capable. Because they are visible, our brains paint a literal halo of generalized competence right over them. Think about the person in the sharp suit speaking confidently in a boardroom. Our brains automatically assume they're the smartest person in the room, even if the quiet person in the back actually built the entire product. It really makes you wonder, if our brains judge people this way by default, how many incredibly talented individuals have we completely overlooked?
Which brings us to the next mystery in this chain of perception. Why do entire teams of hardworking people become forgotten, while one single person becomes the undisputed face of success? If recognition follows perception, does hard work alone ever actually guarantee success?
It all comes down to credit attribution bias. The human mind strongly dislikes complexity. We struggle to comprehend the nuanced, interwoven efforts of a massive team. So we take a shortcut. We simplify complex collective achievements by attaching them to a single, highly visible individual. It's just so much easier to give the victory to one figurehead. Leaders often eagerly step right into this role, easily claiming credit for collective ideas just to maintain an image of power and appease stakeholders.
But there is profound emotional collateral damage here. Academic research shows a distinct psychological fallout when credit is taken from you. It triggers what psychologists call relative deprivation. That's the gut punch feeling you get when your expectation of fair treatment is violently broken. You find yourself comparing your agonizing, invisible efforts to their highly visible, effortless reward. Quiet anger and perceived unfairness take root. And the result? You withdraw. You stop offering innovative ideas, and your performance inevitably drops. The organization slowly, silently bleeds its best talent.
However, the research reveals one incredibly fascinating caveat. There is a specific condition where a leader claiming credit doesn't trigger anger at all. If an employee pitches a highly risky idea and the leader claims ownership specifically to shoulder the potential risk and shield that employee from organizational backlash, the perceived unfairness completely vanishes. The employee sees it as a protective shield, not theft. In this rare instance, the dynamic actually transforms anger into deep appreciation.
This forces us to challenge everything we've been taught about just keeping our heads down and doing the work. What if the biggest obstacle to your success isn't a lack of talent, but remaining invisible? What if you spent years rigorously improving your abilities while completely ignoring the underlying psychology that determines whether anyone actually notices them in the first place? The flawed belief we all carry is that hard work always speaks for itself. We think sheer effort acts like a megaphone. But the psychological truth? Human beings remember people, not processes. They notice outcomes, not always the invisible effort behind them. Robert Greene wasn't simply encouraging people to steal recognition. He was exposing a very uncomfortable truth about how our brains actually operate. Visibility doesn't replace competence, but without visibility, Competence is often forgotten. That is the critical perspective shift you need to take away from this explainer today. Competence is absolutely mandatory, but believing that your hard work will automatically be seen and rewarded without any active effort to make it visible is a fatal misunderstanding of human behavior.
The mystery of stolen credit isn't just about workplace fairness. It's a profound reflection of the human mind. Because ultimately, the world can't recognize what it never notices. If this explainer changed the way you think about recognition, human behavior, and power, subscribe to Beyond the Pages. Every week, we uncover the psychology hidden inside the world's most influential books, so you can better understand yourself and the people around you.